Hi, everybody. I'm filming this on July 25th, 2019, because this is my 2-year Kidneyversary. 2 years ago today, I received a life-saving kidney transplant. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So in 2002, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. It's a genetic disorder that causes the slow destruction of my native kidneys through the accumulation of cysts. So as soon as I was diagnosed, we knew that sooner or later I was going to need a transplant. And for many years, we just monitored my kidney function as it slowly degraded. And when we got down to where my function was like around 25%, we started those nitty-gritty preparations for the transplant surgery. The amazing thing that happened right away is my wife, without any hesitation at all, said, "I'll happily give you a kidney." Now, at this point, we did not know that she was a match or not, and we didn't know what our options were. I was still thinking that I would have to maybe hunt down a matching person who was willing and maybe wait for a cadaverous donor. But the thing that was being developed at that time and had already been done successfully was a thing called paired exchange. And Eileen was very, very enthused about the idea of paired exchange because it would allow us to trigger the saving of many lives. So as we were exploring our options, we found out that I have O negative blood, the rarest of all blood types. And while O negative is a universal donor, O negative people are very specific recipients. So it's very tough for an O negative person to find a matching organ. On top of that, because of a blood transfusion I'd had in 2002, I had some odd antibodies in my system, which would make it even more difficult. Well, we went into the testing, found all of this stuff out. Eileen went through this amazing day of testing, and it was discovered that not only was she an excellent candidate to be a living donor, she was a match for me. Not a perfect match, because there's no such thing, but a pretty good match. So now we had all of our options available to us, but when we sat down with the transplant team, Eileen really wanted to continue with paired exchange. And I'm really thankful that she did, because this turned out to be the most amazing experience ever. When we got to the day before our surgeries, our chain had been put together. We were going to have like 12 pairs going back and forth, and it fell apart the day before our surgery. But overnight, they were able to put together a brand new chain. And in this case, it was an absolute miracle. Eileen, because she's what's called a super donor and can match an enormous number of potential recipients, turned out to be the only match for a young mother in Iowa who had been searching for many years and was running out of time. So that set off a chain reaction where Eileen's kidney would be given to this mother in Iowa, and then the swapping and trading around would work out. It took 18 pairs, 18 donors, 18 recipients. I ended up getting a kidney from Massachusetts. So the day of surgery, we checked in early afternoon. Eileen's surgery was scheduled for 3 in the afternoon. And at that time, the way they did it, because legally the donor has the right to refuse right up to the last minute, they get all the donors on the table at the same time. So that was like 6 o'clock in Massachusetts, 3 o'clock our time, and 12 o'clock or something in Hawaii. And that's how far this thing was spread apart. And so they got everything going, and I was waiting in the waiting room, and Eileen's surgery went long. The tote board still said after 3 hours that she was still in the procedure, and I got really, really nervous. My friends sat with me. We prayed a bit. We talked a bit. And about an hour later, the surgeon finally came down and said everything went perfectly. Eileen wanted to see me. So I went upstairs, and she was still groggy. The nurse was working on pain meds. She was obviously hurting pretty bad. And I leaned in, let her know I was there. And she said, "They took my frickin' kidney," which was kind of an inside joke. I'll try to find the link and leave it there for you. There's a animated video called Charlie the Unicorn, And in one of the episodes, he gets taken off to Candyland and his kidney gets stolen. So that's been kind of our inside joke for all these years. And but I visited with her for a bit, and then it was time for me to just wait. Now the way a donated kidney is handled is as if it's a high priority patient. So it's put in an ice chest. It has an individual escort. In my case, it was coming from Massachusetts. So they put it on an air ambulance, flew it to San Francisco, and then on an ambulance, the escort rides with the kidney. And the ambulance has a police escort in addition to that. So it's really a remarkable scene. About 9 o'clock that night in the waiting room, all these sirens come blaring into the hospital. My surgeon shows up, says, "That's your kidney, it's time." So we went upstairs. Got prepped. I got to see Eileen one more time before she was sent to her room. And then they wheeled me into the operating room, and the donated kidney, was on a separate table with a separate surgeon kind of prepping it, doing what's necessary before it is inserted. And they spun me around on the gurney, and I got to take a quick look at it before they put me under. They put the mask on me, and the next thing I remember, it was 3 hours later. Kidney transplant is an amazing thing. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning that I was put in my hospital room, and I didn't really sleep well that night. I kind of dozed on and off. About 9 o'clock in the morning, I kind of came fully to, and I already felt better. I had been sick for so long, and I didn't even realize how sick I was. And then having a new kidney in my body was just making a huge difference. You know, this is the kind of thing that makes for a great society. When we give to each other, when we share with one another, that's what makes society society. And things like kidney transplant and all the other kinds of transplants and all the ways that we can actually give the gift of life to one another, that's a tremendous example of that. I hit the lottery when I met Eileen. Not only has she been an incredible wife for almost 30 years now, but she literally gave me the gift of life. And her generosity extended well beyond me. And that's why she was so enthused about the possibilities of paired exchange. So that's my story about my Kidneyversary. It's an emotional event for me. If it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So miracles do happen, and I'm the living proof of that. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.